I don't usually tell this story, not because it hurts too much, although it still does, but because every time I talk about it, people look at me differently, like they're trying to figure out how someone can live so long without moving on. But this isn't a story about obsession. It's a story about love, silence, and people who thought they were protecting each other. I was 23 when I met her. I remember that clearly because I was at that age where everyone around me seemed to be figuring life out, except me. I had a job that paid the bills, an apartment that felt temporary, and this constant feeling that I was just waiting for my real life to start. I went to the same small coffee shop every morning before work. Nothing special. No fancy branding. Just a place where the barista knew your order if you came often enough. She was one of those baristas. Her name was Emily. She didn't talk much at first. Just smiled, asked how my morning was, handed me my coffee, but it wasn't a customer service smile. It was quiet, real, like she actually meant it. One morning I reached into my pocket and realized I'd forgotten my wallet. I apologized and said I'd come back later. She laughed and said, "It's okay. You can pay tomorrow." No hesitation. No awkwardness. That small moment stuck with me more than it should have. The next day, I came in earlier than usual. Paid for my coffee. Stayed longer. We talked. About music. About how loud the city felt sometimes. About how adulthood didn't look the way we expected it to. Her name was Emily, and by the end of that week, she knew my order without asking. We didn't start dating right away. We just talked. A lot. I'd wait until her shift ended and we'd walk around the neighborhood. No plan. No destination. Just moving and talking. She listened in a way that made you feel like you weren't invisible anymore. Like your thoughts actually mattered to someone. That does something to a person. Falling in love with her didn't feel dramatic. It felt natural, like it had always been heading in that direction and we were just catching up. We spent more time in my car than anywhere else, parked on quiet streets, talking until the sky started to change color. She told me about her childhood, her dad back in Oregon, how she always felt guilty for moving so far away. I told her about my fear of ending up stuck, doing something I hated for the rest of my life. She never tried to fix me. She just listened. After 6 months, she moved in. There wasn't even a real conversation about it. One day her clothes were there, then her books, then her favorite mug. Suddenly, the apartment felt like a home. Life felt easy. Too easy. I remember lying awake one night, listening to her breathe, thinking, this is it. This is what people mean when they say they've found their person. Then her dad got sick. At first, it didn't sound serious. Tests, appointments, long phone calls. She tried to take in another room. She went back to Oregon for a few days, then came back quieter, more tired. A few weeks later, she went again, this time for longer. When she returned, she felt different. Like she was carrying something heavy but didn't know how to put it down. One night, sitting at the kitchen table, she said, "I might need to move back home. Just for a while." She kept saying just for a while. I told her I understood. I said family comes first. I meant it. But I was scared. Not of losing her, of losing us without even realizing it. The night before she left, our apartment was full of boxes. We sat on the floor, backs against the couch. She held my hands and said, "I love you. I just need time." I asked her if this meant the end. She shook her head and said, "No, I promise." We hugged for a long time. The kind of hug where you try to memorize how someone feels, just in case you need it later. The next morning, I watched her drive away. I remember thinking, this is temporary. I didn't know that was the last time I would ever see her in person. At first, we stayed in touch. Texts every morning, calls at night. Then the messages got shorter, the calls less frequent. She always sounded tired. I didn't push. I didn't want to add stress to her life. I didn't want to be another burden. Then one day, she stopped replying. No breakup. No explanation. She didn't block me. She didn't say goodbye. She just disappeared. I told myself she needed space. I told myself she would come back when things settled down. Days turned into months. Months turned into years. I dated other people, but it never felt right. I compared everyone to her without meaning to. Every time my phone buzzed, my heart jumped. Every unknown number felt like hope. I changed jobs, moved apartments, got older, but emotionally, I stayed right there. Waiting, 12 years later, I was scrolling through Facebook one night, and there she was, Emily. Married, 2 kids, a life I was never part of. She looked genuinely happy. I almost closed the app, but then I saw the comments. I'm so proud of you for everything you survived. I clicked her profile. That's when I found an old post from years back. She'd been diagnosed with aggressive cancer shortly after moving home. She didn't leave because she stopped loving me. She left because she thought she was dying. She didn't want me to watch her fade away. She didn't want to become the reason my life stopped moving forward. She chose silence instead of goodbye, and I chose waiting instead of asking the truth. She survived. She healed. She built a life. And I stayed loyal to a memory that never got closure. We both tried to protect each other, and in doing so, we lost everything we were trying to save. Some love stories don't end with a breakup. They don't end with an argument. They end quietly. And sometimes, silence hurts more than the truth ever could.